Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to make this little hand puppet. I've already done Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy. So a subscriber had asked me to do, there's a little mouth in there, Scooter. So that's who this is. Now I did some tapestry crochet down here just because his shirt is yellow and his coat is green. So I did a little down there. It doesn't take much, and if you've never done it before, it's super duper easy. So his glasses, I have the middle bar so that they're glasses, but because there's not a whole lot of room, I didn't put any side ear things. And really, with all of his funny hair, it's not really that noticeable. So I'm going to tell you what this is. This was actually quite hard to find in the proper color. This is this stuff. So it's a Lion brand. It is 6 bulky. And the color is pumpkin. So I don't know if you're having the same problem in your area that we have in our area, but it's the Thick and Quick, by the way. The problem we have in our area is stock, and I think everybody's having a problem with that. So this Craft Smart color, this is what I used for Scooter himself, is a Craft Smart, and the color is curry. So this is easy peasy to get. As far as anything else, the green and the yellow, it doesn't really matter. I don't actually have my tag for this green, so I don't remember the color, but I'm pretty sure it's Craft Smart as well. Most of my yarns are generally Craft Smart, so let's jump right into this cute little guy. So I am using a 4.5 for this project. There's no letter associated with a 4.5 to my knowledge, so I cannot give you a letter. So we're going to start with the curry color. We're going to make a top jaw and bottom jaw separately, and then we sew them together. So that's the plan. This will be chapter 1, just to make it easier for you when you're, if you put your project down, you need to go back to something. I started doing chapters so that it's just easier for you guys. So you're going to start off making a magic ring of 6 single crochets. If you don't know how to make a magic ring, then, or not very good at it, or don't want to do it, I would just chain 2, and then your 6 single crochets will just all go into the first stitch. It turns out exactly like a magic ring. So I just lay my yarn in my hand like this. This is the end that's not attached to anything. I go around these 2 fingers. I kind of hold it with my thumb. I come across and I grab it with my pinky. So I go in underneath this guy and I grab a hold of him. And now I'm going to flip my hook around. And then I'm going to turn my hook around. And I'm going to come down here by my ring finger and I'm going to grab some yarn and I'm going to pull through. So that makes your magic ring and your chain 1 to secure it. So all in one fluid motion. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. We're making this amigurumi, so you're not slip stitching and you're not chaining 1. But you can use your stitch marker. It will go in the first stitch, not the second stitch, and then you put the second stitch in that same space. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around gives you 12 stitches. So you can make sure your center is pulled. This next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. I've pulled my center tight. I'm going to weave in this guy right now. You don't have to do this. It just makes my life easier, but it does not affect the project at all. That's my 1 single crochet, and your next stitch will get the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. You should have 18 stitches. Your next round is just going to be 1 single crochet in each of those 18 stitches. So you can flip this around. Because this is a hand puppet, I'm going to snip this off now that I've weaved it in, because you certainly don't want your little fingers in there. So this hand puppet's going to seem big. It's for adults, not children. And even though I have fat little hands, this hand puppet fits decently. I mean, I've got extra room here and here. So there's plenty of room, but lengthwise it fits perfectly. This obviously is ginormous because it's only my thumb in there, but if I was to make it this for the size of a thumb, this would be disproportionate. So in case you do question what I'm doing here, it is, if you have smaller hands, like small hands, and you know you have small hands, I would go down in hook size to a 4. If you have super small hands, then obviously a 3.5. Or if you want to make it for a child, then you would go down to another hook size. And just make sure that your yarn is 4 weight so that you're able to do that. You're going to have a tighter weave, but it'll be fine. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase. 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. This will give you 24 stitches. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring you up to 30 stitches. And then after this, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of those 30 stitches. This will all be on my pause screen. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So just make sure you follow the pause screen, and I will see you on the other side. So I just finished my 1 single crochet in each of those 30 stitches. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. And then the round after that is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase. So I'll put all that on the screen for you. So that is what 7 rows looks like. That's the top. That's where your hand goes. So it won't be as loosey-goosey when we sew it all together and we start crocheting. So it is really loose right now, but just know that it's not going to be as bad. It's not going to be that big of a difference, but it will be a little bit tighter when we do the 2 ends. So this one you can fasten off. Now if you want to, now the bottom is not built the same as the top jaw. So one of them is going to have a sewing tail. So our bottom jaw starts with 6 single crochet, or a magic ring of 6 single crochets. So your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochets and an increase. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase, bringing you up to 30 stitches. Your last round is going to be 4 single crochets and your last increase round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. This brings you up to 36 stitches. Top jaw was 42. This is 36. So after you've done this, I just want you to do 8 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 36 stitches. And then don't fasten off. And I will see you on the other side. So this is my 8 rows. This is what you should have at this point. You can fasten off. So you only need a sewing tail for one of them, and I've got a sewing tail on this one, so I'm just going to fasten off normally. I'm going to pull this through to the other side because I don't need to use it and I don't want it in my way. This is my fasten off point, so I'm going to make sure that's to the inside. So you're going to put this and this together. And yes, I know that they're completely 2 different sizes. So put them together the best you can, like how you want your mouth. I just match up my magic rings. One is meant to be smaller than the other. Now, this guy here, he's kind of not in the right space. I need him to be more back a little bit, so you can adjust your mouth, but I'm just moving him 1 stitch back because I've already got it held. So find your spot you want to start. I always like to make a kind of a knot right there, and then you're just going to go stitch for stitch. And keep in mind, you got a fasten off spot here, so I'm just going to do a whip stitch all the way across. So I'm only 1 stitch beyond my lower jaw, so when I stop I'm going to be 1 stitch beyond my lower jaw over here. And that is how we do it. So you're just going to need to reattach. Make a slip knot. Where you reattach is going to be your new marker spot. So this is the bottom jaw, this is the top jaw. Oh, you can't even see me. Anyway, I'm a dink, I know. So, I don't really want anywhere into this crook, but I don't want too far off from it. So I'm just going to go with my 2 stitches over, and this is going to be my new marker spot. So I'm going to reattach here with a single crochet. I'm going to put a single crochet in that same space, and then we're going to ignore the reattach spot when we come back around. We're not going to use it as a stitch. I want you to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around. My original scooter doll had 48 for a count, but I don't know what you just did here, so oh yeah, I gotta mark that spot, don't I? Sorry, that first stitch is a marker spot. So go ahead and do your 1 single crochet in each stitch. I'm going to meet you over here at the crook of the mouth just to kind of show you what to do in case you're not aware. But once I do that, then I'll flip over to my pause screen. And I'm probably going to speed this up, so I just want you to watch it before you do it if you're not sure what you have to do. So once you come around to the 2 pieces, you can share that sew space if you want. I do it because I don't like any kind of holes. So I go into that where I sewed, and then I'll pop across to the next available stitch, which is this small little stitch. It's very hard to see. This small little stitch right there. Just because I don't want any holes at all. So I pop across to this tiny little tight stitch, and then I don't get any holes other than your normal holes that you would get. So continue doing this all the way back to your marker, and I will see you on the other side. So I had 48 stitches again because I used my sew spaces and then that tiny little stitch. So I have 48. Your next round, we're going to start decreasing right away because this is for the hand. So right here you're going to see a little stitch where we reattached. We're going to ignore that stitch and pretend it doesn't exist. And we're going to go right into our marker spot. Still doing amigurumi. So it's not hard to find because the marker spot's a big stitch. The reattach is such a tiny, tight little stitch. So you're going to do 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 48 stitches. So that's number 1. I'm going to do invisible decreases. That is 4 single crochets, and then my invisible decreases are just in the front loops only. And repeat. So I'll show you that again. That's 4 single crochets, and then the front loops, you just go in the front loop and yoink over to the next front loop, pull through, and then finish the stitch. So repeat this all the way around, and I'll see you on the other side. And you don't have to do this, by the way. You can do your decreases any way you want. So you should have 40 stitches at this point. So for the next 6 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 40 stitches, and then we're going to switch to our green color, which is the coat that Scooter wears. And can anybody tell me in the comments what Scooter is famous for? Anybody know? I know the answer. So this is my 6 rows. This is what it should look like. It's pretty funny now. I'm going to puff this part up. Pretty funny right now. So we're going to go to green, and I'm going to do the tapestry crochet adding in his shirt like I did here. Although the numbers I give you may not be accurate because I don't know where you put your stitch marker, so you may have to figure it out yourself. But if you put your stitch marker where I put my stitch marker, I think we should be okay, because I think I put it in the same spot on this one, but I'm not even sure. So you're gonna have to bear with me as far as this goes. I just make it up as I go along. That's all I did before. So we're gonna go to green. So I'm not gonna finish my last stitch with the curry color. I'm gonna do it with this green color. And again, I don't know the color of this green. I have so many greens, you'd think I would have kept the label for it, but I apparently did not. So I don't feel like weaving in, so I'm going to tie these two. Let's get this off of me. I'm going to tie these two together in a double knot. Just be careful if you're doing this too, the type of tension you use. So I'm not going back to the curry. I'm just going to cut that off. So we're done with that. It's just going to be green. So with our green, and hopefully my numbers are right, depending on where you put your marker, we're going to do 30 green, and then we're going to add yellow. So that's my 30th stitch. I'm going to do 10 single crochets with yellow. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, that's not going to be in the middle. So somehow we need to make this in the middle. So I need to back out. Backed out 4 stitches. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That would go to there, and that looks like it would be in the middle. So my 26th stitch. So I didn't figure my numbers were going to work out the same as the last one, because you can just never get anything the same when you sew things together and when you move your marker. And oh, what is going on with my yellow? There it is. So this last stitch I'm going to change to yellow. You don't have to do this. You can just do it all green if you want to. And again, I'm going to tie my straggler to my green lead, just because I don't want to weave. Weaving just makes one part of your project thicker than the other part. So keep your green hanging there, because we're going to need it. Oh, actually, I'm going to weave. I'm going to weave anyway, apparently, because I'm going to pick up my green over here. So with my yellow, I'm going to do 10 single crochets. This is my 10th stitch. Just make sure it's in the center. I'm gonna come up a little bit because I need you to see that my yellow is centered. Just make sure yours is centered because my numbers aren't going to work. My numbers are going to be all wrong. So I'm going to finish my 10th stitch with that. And then green back to my marker. So now I'm just making this up as I go along because it didn't work out for me. So when you fold it in half to make this even, I got 4 green here and 4 green there before my marker. So I know mine is somewhat in the middle. Well, it's exactly in the middle. So that's all you need to do. Once you get your first row exactly the way you need it, the rest of it just works out. I won't have to give you numbers now. So keep in mind that you're going to be putting your hand in here. So because I'm going to have to start the yellow over here, I now have to start weaving in the yellow over here, which is what I should have done these 4 stitches, but I didn't. So hopefully it doesn't mess things up. So with your green, so we're just coming down like a V. So with your green, I want you to come all the way around and go into this first yellow with your green. Up my ball of yarn, I dropped it. Okay, so I want you to go into your first yellow. I think that's what I did. No, I did 2. The first 2 stitches I want you to do in yellow. So this one though, we're going to finish with yellow. We're not going to finish it with green. So finish your second stitch into the yellow with your yellow. So 6 single crochets. I have two yellow stitches left. I'm going to go back to my green. Oh, I forgot to weave that in. I got to weave my green in. So this is my 6th one. I'm going to switch. I'm going to finish that with my green, and I'm going to do my green back to my marker. Weaving in my yellow. I have a little fuzzy. Alright. This shirt doesn't take long to finish. So again, you're going to do green all the way around to the yellow. And I will meet you there. So I want you, I'm just stopped at my green. I want you to go 1 stitch into the yellow, but finish it with the yellow. And I want you to do 5 single crochets. And yes, that will take you to the end of your yellow, but that's how it works when you do colors around in a circle. You have to do that just about every other row. You have to screw it all up to make it look straight. So that's why I just did that. And then you can just follow your green back to your marker. So it will look straight at the end of the day, even though it doesn't make sense right now, but that's tapestry crochet. Tapestry crochet is not meant to be made in the round, it's meant to be built flat. So when you build it in the round, you got to do stuff like this to make it look like this. That's what the plan is anyway. So your next round, and it's always the one side. It's always the one side that gets off. Took me a long time to learn that. So again, follow your green around to your yellow. So I'm back around to my yellow. We're almost done it. I want you to go one into the yellow, so put your green on top of that one yellow stitch, switch to your yellow, and I want you to do 3 single crochets. So you're going to end, you're still going to have one yellow stitch left. Go back to your green. You're going to put the green on that last yellow stitch, and then you're going to follow your green around to your marker. One more, and then that's it. We're done with the yellow. So follow your green around to your yellow. So I'm back around to my yellow. I'm still on my green. So this is going to be the last row. You're going to do 2 single crochets with your yellow. So I want you to start in this stitch and switch to yellow. And I want you to do your 2 single crochets. Sorry, my cat was doing something weird and I had to pause and listen for a second. Anyway, switch this last stitch with your green and we're done with the yellow. I'm going to weave it in before I cut it off, but oh my god, I have static going on today. So, follow your green back to your marker. So the yellow is the shirt that he wears underneath his coat. I just kind of wanted this to be somewhat real. So I'm going to cut my yellow off with enough to kind of leave it hanging on the inside. Oh no, I can't do that. I'm going to cut my yellow off. I keep forgetting this is a puppet. Can't leave stragglers on the inside. Geez, I already have stragglers on the inside. I got this one straggler. I'm just going to tuck this guy away. You certainly don't want any stuff like this on the inside to get tangled up in fingers, and if children are going to be wearing this, you know, you can get a piece of yarn wrapped around your finger and it could cut off circulation and it can be really, really bad. So make sure all of our stuff is tucked in. So that's what it should look like with his little shirt. And we're not going to be doing anything more with the yellow, like I said. With the green, I want you just to do 1 single crochet in each stitch for the next 8 rows, and then you can fasten off. So I will put that on my pause screen, and I will see you on the other on the other side. I have the hiccups. So this is my 8 rows, and you can fasten off now. All right, enough playing, playing around. So, there's nothing to do on this side anymore. Everything is going to be on this side. Let's do his ears next, because I think it'd be easier to get his ears on, and then you can place his eyes and his hair. I think it's the simplest way to go. Find my, don't have much yarn left. I might have to get another ball. So his ears are pretty small and easy peasy. We're gonna make a magic ring, and we're gonna put 6 single crochets in there. Next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. That's my 12. For the next 3 rows, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each of those 12 stitches. And that's it. That's your ear. So this is my 3 rows. Tiny, 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 short little ear. You can fasten off. With a sewing tail, we are not, we're not stuffing this. So, if it's easier for you, you can whip stitch this shut. So that's his little ear. So go ahead and make your other one. And they're going to be sewn on literally way over on the edge, because there's not a whole lot of room up here. So, and I'll tell you now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Between the 13th and 14th row is where I put mine. So 13 and 14, so that's where I sewed mine on, way back there. So go ahead and make your second one. I'm just going to put a pin in mine and sew them on, and I will meet you right back here. So that's my ears sewn on. I know, it looks pretty funny. I want to do the inside of the mouth before I do the rest of it. So you're going to need pink and you're going to need red. The red's for the tongue, or the pink is for the tongue, the red is for the mouth part. So I want to get that done before we do the eyes, because we're gonna have to flip all this back and it's gonna have to be held down and the whole thing. So get your red, get your pink, and we'll get that done. So I got my pink. I'm gonna use this as a background because I think this is not going to work out as far as visualizing. The tongue is pretty quick. You're going to make a magic ring, and inside this magic ring you're going to put 2 single crochets. Then you're going to put 3 half doubles. Then you're going to put 2 double crochets. You're going to chain 2. Let me pull this closed a little bit. You're going to chain 2 and you're going to picot, which means just below chain number 1, chain number 2, you've got 2 bars. So that's your 2 chains. Here you've got 2 bars right there. That's what you're going to go into. So kind of sideways. You're going to pick up a loop. You're going to do a slip stitch. So that's going to put a point on the end of your heart. And then you're going to do 2 more double crochets. I got stuck on a piece of yarn. Sometimes if it doesn't come onto my ball properly, it screws up my stitches. So 2 double crochets. Then you're going to do 3 half doubles. So you're just doing the same thing you did on the other side, but backwards. Except for now. You're only going to do 1 single crochet. You're going to chain 2. You're going to pull this closed so it's a little heart shape. And you're going to go right down into the center. You're going to grab a piece of yarn. You're going to pull up and you're going to slip stitch into the center. And then you can fasten off with a sewing tail. So I'm going to pull my middle closed, and you've got a little heart. And that's what his tongue looks like. It's just this little heart. So you can tuck in all your ends. So this is where my straggler is from the slip knot, because I'm using the back, so it doesn't really matter. That's the tongue, that's it. So we need to get our red. Red you can see, so I'm going to move that. This is built flat, obviously. So you need to make a slip knot. You're going to chain 13. You're going to do 12 single crochets back up because you have 12 working stitches. The 13th one is still on your hook. Chain 1, turn your work. We're going to decrease the first 2, so just kind of go in. If you don't, I mean, you can't do an invisible one. Don't really have any front loops. We're at the back of the project, so just do a regular decrease. Then you're going to do 8 single crochets across, and you're going to decrease the last 2. That's my 8th stitch. Now I know it doesn't look like there's 2 stitches there, but there are. There's one there. If you turn it sideways, there's 1 and there's 2. That's the turning over stitch at the end. So make sure you're getting underneath both pieces because it does turn over. So I just call it the turning over stitch. If you ever hear me say that, it's what I'm referring to. So again, decrease the first 2 stitches. You're going to do 6 single crochets across and then decrease the last 2 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 8 stitches. Chain 1, turn your work. So now I want you to decrease the first 2. I want you to do 4 single crochets across and then decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. Now I want you to do 6 single crochets, 1 in each stitch. Chain 1, turn your work. I want you to decrease the first 2. I want you to do 2 single crochets and then decrease the last 2. Chain 1, turn your work. And now do 4 single crochets. So I didn't want to leave the raw edges like that because I think it's horrible, so I just did 1 single crochet in each stitch around the entire project. So first I chain 1, go back into that same stitch I was just in to come down the side, and then for each corner I put 2 single crochets. That's 6 single crochets. You make sure you have to copy that on the same side. So for my corner, I'm going to put 2 single crochets in this corner just to keep it a corner. So complete this all the way around and I will see you on the other side. So once you come back around, you can just go into the next stitch and fasten off. So this is my inside of his mouth, and you're gonna need to, so it goes the skinny part obviously in the front. So you have to sew his mouth on like that, but first we sew the tongue on, and the point of the heart faces out. So that's what we're going to do next, is sew the tongue on first. Figure out where you need it. So I do use glue for mine. I don't go every single stitch. I do long ones in the back, short ones in the front. I had my caterpillar. I have a caterpillar on my page. And my mother-in-law, when she was still alive, God rest her soul, asked me to make a caterpillar for a friend of hers. A leg fell off. It didn't hurt her. Everything was fine. The mom just sewed it back on. So I was just beside myself that this leg fell off. And this is why I started using glue, because I'm just so scared that my work's going to come apart. I don't sew well. And it was in that poor sewing that made this leg fall off. So I was devastated. That was about 2 years ago. And I've been super, super vigilant on making sure that that doesn't happen again ever since. But you gotta sew it on quite gingerly because you don't want to go through to the other side. So all I did was grab a couple of pieces. Like I grabbed some pieces. It's almost like I a mattress stitch, but it's not. I grab a piece or two, whatever I can get a hold of, and then I come up through the stitch. So I know for a fact that I'm not going through to the other side. I'm not sewing these together because I'm only grabbing a piece. So it makes that nice and thick down there. So it's a lot easier to work the puppet now that, even though this is too big for your thumb, you've got this nice and thick part, so it works pretty good. Anyway, I'm playing. Play all day with one of these things. You guys think I made this for my grandkids? No, no, no. I did it for myself. So we're going to do the glasses, and then we'll put the hair on. I don't know how hard that's going to be, but anyway, so I used this gray for his glasses because they look more gray than black in the picture that I used. And then white and black, obviously, for the eyes and for the pupil. So, get your colors. I got a little bit of black here I can use for the pupils. Just about done this guy. So you're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. And then you're going to fasten off. So just make 2 of these. Let's just do them. Make 2 of these while it's so quick and easy. Because you got to make 2 eyes anyway. The reason I say fasten off with the pupil is because going from white to black, I just think it looks better and it's easier to do it this way. So you don't need to worry about a sewing tail. You just need to worry about a weaving tail, because we're going to use the gray that we finished it off with. We're going to use that to sew with. So this is the first one. You can deal with this guy now if you want to. Probably make your life a whole lot easier to just get rid of him. The straggler that we just cut off, he can just be weaved in with this white if you want, or you can tuck him away. So I'm just going to leave my little thingy because it's easier to grab onto with my fat little fingers. So make your second one. This is pupil number 2. That's enough. Again, you don't need a sewing tail. So get that out of the way. I'm going to deal with this and then we'll move on. So when I put the instructions up for the other eye, they will include the pupil, but that doesn't mean you have to make it again. Just saying, I'm just going to throw the whole pattern up there in case you're not making your second one right now. But it's not that hard to remember. Magic ring, 6 single crochets. So get your white, make a slip knot. So right here where you fastened off before, bring you in a little closer. I can't really come in much closer than that. Go into that same spot you were just in, fastened off from, and reattach. with a single crochet. So we're going to count that as a stitch because it doesn't really matter whether it's a stitch or we put another single crochet in that same space. Might look a little bulky, but it's not going to make a difference. So your next stitch, you're going to put 2 half double crochets into the same space. And I know it's super hard to see. The next stitch, you're going to do the same thing. 2 half doubles into the same space. So we're shaping the eye. Your next stitch, you're going to put 3 double crochets into that space. Then you're going to put 2 half doubles in the next stitch. 2 half doubles in the next stitch after that. And then your last stitch, you're going to do 1 single crochet. And you're going to fasten off. So pop over here, slip stitch into where you reattached, and fasten off. Again, you don't need a sewing tail because we're going to sew with the gray. So I've left little nubbies, but the black is still attached. So now we go, I'm going to leave your second eye, it's going to be left for you. So then we go and we get our gray. And we reattach. So again, find your little black cord and reattach in the same space that you were in before, which is right there. It might be quite tight. So reattach. Try to use all the same space for that. With a single crochet. So after you've attached with your single crochet, we're not going to count that as a stitch. We're just going to ignore it. We're going to go 1 single crochet increase all the way around. So that's my 1 single crochet, my real one. We're going to avoid that when we slip stitch and fasten off. So your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space, and repeat. You should have 18 stitches when you come back around. Ignore that, it's where we reattached with our white, so we're ignoring that spot as well. So you're going to ignore all these stitches in between and you're going to pop across and grab the back loop of your first stitch. So when you pull, it's going to want to roll over, and that's exactly what we want to happen, because you're skipping basically those 2 reattached areas and you're forcing it to roll over. In the back loops, you're just going to put 1 single crochet in each stitch around for 18 stitches. We are stuffing this eye because we want it to sit on his head raised, which is the whole point of doing what I just did. So that's my last stitch, my back loop. So now you've got this, it should look like that. So because we skipped this, it forced it to roll over, and doing the back loops makes it look like this. I don't even know how to say that. Anyway, fasten off. This is where you need a sewing tail. And make it fairly long, because I used mine to actually make the middle eyeglass piece too, that goes in the middle of the eyeglasses. So that gets stuffing up underneath here. So all this other gobbledygook, you can just cut off short. And it's going to get sewed to his head like that, with stuffing up underneath there. So go ahead and make your other eye, and then I'll meet you back here, and I'll show you how I sew it on and then make the thing in the middle. It's easy peasy. I'm sure you already know. If you already know, just go ahead and do it. But not everyone's going to understand. So I will meet you right back here. There's my two creepy eyes. These are hard to do unless you put a little bit of stuffing in them in the first place, but then it's hard to do regardless. They're hard to do. I mean, for me, I suppose. I'm not a sewer, but there's not a whole lot of room with this puppet. I am missing a whole crap ton of pins. I need some bigger pins. Things keep going missing in my studio. So, that's my one eye. It is going to be hard to put both eyes on and sew. Like, even if one's pinned, I think it would just get in the way. I didn't do that with my other one, so I'm not sure. So you can put more stuffing in this after. But that's how it goes, and then we put the hair right there. So that is how your scooter's going to go. Anyway, get your stuff sewn on. Again, it's quite difficult because it's not like you can just go down and up. So it was difficult for me. So I only got a wee little bit of room, and I want to shove some more stuffing up there because I want these to be bubble eyes. You know, they really need to stick out because he's got some big eyes. I don't know if you noticed. He's got some Coke bottom glasses. So I'm not going to do anything with this guy. Actually, I'm going to come over here because that's what I'm going to use to make the glasses. Like the part in between. So I'm just going to pop up over here. And then I'm going to sew my other eye on. So I will do that off camera and I will meet you back to show you what I was talking about before. And then I use both pieces and I just pop across. And out. That's my one side of my eyeglasses. Or not my one side, but you know what I mean. I'm going to go into the same hole and then pop out over here. So that's the middle of my eyeglasses. Now, you can really do this if you want. Like you can sew your eyeglasses on him, but I think that looks absolutely retarded. Now you can just come out like this, I suppose. But again, I personally think that looks retarded. So I chose to not do anything. But if you wanted to do that, you can. He just looks like he's like wearing a burglar mask at that point. So I didn't like it, so I didn't do it. But you can do whatever you want. It's just the area that we have to work in is just not conducive to put ear things on his glasses. So I didn't put any on. I think it actually looks better without the ear things on his glasses. I am weaving just in case somebody decides to pull an eye off. So far our scooter, even though his hair's not on yet, looks like a scooter. That's the last part, is the hair. So like I said, this is what I used. And that's the closest I could find. So again, I'm going to reiterate, this is a pumpkin color. It is a Lion's brand, Wool Ease Thick and Quick. So that's what I have. So I just wrapped it around my hand a few times, but I mean, it's completely up to you how much hair you want. So I don't know, that's about 6 times, I think. And then I just cut it in half. I had my pieces. And then you can decide where you want your pieces, but just go in and pick up a little piece of bar, wrap this around your hook, bring it through, and then make a stitch basically. So that makes a knot, push that down, and you end up with 2 pieces of hair. So where you put it is completely up to you. I cannot tell you where to put it. I just put it wherever. It's just in the middle of his head, like in between his ears. It's not even all over, so that's what I did. And I didn't unravel that or nothing, because if you look at a picture of Scooter, his hair's not unraveled. It just looks like a bunch of yarn on his head. So that's what I made, a bunch of yarn on his head. So I just did 4 across. I'm going to just turn it around so I can do the other side. I just came in a bit. But again, it's up to you what you do. It's your project. It's your scooter. And I'm quite sure if you buy a great big ball of this, you can do as much as you want. Because what else would you use this for other than hair? So I'm just gonna do my 3 across. And I am done. That is my hair for my scooter. And there we go. That is it. We're all finished. Oh. Thanks for joining me, guys. It was fun. I'm so glad it was suggested by a subscriber. Anyway, I love it. I'll see you in the next video.